Hi, I'm Jason and welcome to Dosatron University. Today, Dosatron's troubleshooting video series features the D25RE1500 11 GPM injector. In this video, I will use a strap wrench and a Phillips head screwdriver. It's best to perform troubleshooting in a clean area, or if your Dosatron is in line, cover your concentrate tank so you won't lose any of the parts. The three key areas in troubleshooting are: 1. The injector is clicking but not drawing the concentrate. 2. The injector is clicking but water is going down into the tank. And 3. The injector isn't clicking. The first two are the most common. If your Dosatron is clicking but not drawing the concentrate, it could be as simple as the strainer is plugged with debris. Take a look at the strainer. If it's clogged, just clean it. Then, turn on the water and retest your Dosatron unit. If the unit is still not drawing the concentrate, unscrew and remove the hose nut and hose. Check to see if you feel suction on your finger. If you feel suction, cut a ½ inch off the top of the hose and reattach it. But if the hose is cracked, rigid, or looks really old, just replace it. After you reinstall the suction hose, you should see the liquid moving up the hose. If you don't see the liquid moving up the hose after a minute or so, or you didn't feel suction on your finger, we need to check the top seal. To do this, turn the water off and press the air bleed button on the lid a few times to release the pressure. Use the strap wrench to loosen the lid. Then remove it and set aside. Grasp the white valve support and pull the piston straight out of the body. Unscrew the check valve nut and remove the check valve assembly. Then unscrew the lock nut and slide the anti-lock ring off of the stem. Next, unscrew and remove the adjusting nut. Push the white injection stem up and out of the black sleeve. To remove the top seal, unscrew and remove the beige seal nut using a quarter. Then use a small screwdriver and remove the retainer and seal. The best way to check the top seal is to slide it onto the metal plunger rod like this. It should fit snugly and not fall off. If the seal is loose, damaged, or you don't remember the last time you changed it, just replace the seal now. To install the new top seal, position it into the white stem with the raised center portion facing upward. Pick up the retainer and take a close look at it. You will notice that the top has a flat surface and the bottom has a raised ridge around the circumference. Reinstall the retainer with the flat portion facing upward. Then reinstall the seal nut and hand tighten. To reassemble, align the groove in the white stem with the tooth inside the lower portion of the black sleeve and slide the stem down as far as possible. Then thread the adjusting nut onto the sleeve and set it around 0.1% or 1 to 1000. Next, align the teeth inside the anti-lock ring with the grooves on the white stem and slide it onto the bottom of the stem. Then thread on the lock nut and hand tighten. Now reinstall the check valve assembly into the stem as shown and reinstall the check valve nut. Carefully insert the piston into the housing and tighten the lid. Thread the nut onto the hose, slide it onto the barb and hand tighten the nut. Make sure to set the injector to your desired setting. Slowly turn the water on and the unit should begin clicking and drawing the concentrate. If your injector is pushing water down into the concentrate tank, it's time to investigate the check valve. To do this, remove the hose nut and hose, set them aside. Unscrew and remove the check valve nut. Grasp the white barb and pull the check valve assembly straight out. It usually comes out in two pieces. The top part that includes the spring is one piece and shouldn't be disassembled. To investigate the check valve, carefully lift the cone from the retainer and look at the bottom side of the cone. Then carefully lift the retainer from the seal. If you see anything lodged or stuck, remove it. If the spring is deformed or stretched, you will need to replace the complete check valve assembly. To reassemble, place the check valve assembly into the top of the barb. Then, press it into the stem as shown and hand tighten the check valve nut. Now, thread the suction hose nut onto the hose, slide it onto the barb and hand tighten the nut. This should stop the water from going back into the concentrate tank. If the injector isn't clicking, turn the water off and press the air bleed button on the top of the lid a few times to release the pressure. Use the strap wrench to loosen the lid. Then remove and set it aside. Grasp the white valve support and pull the piston straight out of the body. Inspect the white valve support on the top. Press the push rod down and check the two actuator springs at the bottom. If they are broken or missing, just replace them. You can visually inspect the upper and lower flanges on the piston shell. If they are worn or have deep scratches, the piston shell and pushrod O-ring need to be replaced. Also, check the piston shell's fit inside the body. To do this, invert the piston and slide it into the body. It should be a snug fit. If it feels loose, the piston shell and pushrod O-ring need to be replaced. To replace the piston shell, use a small tip Phillips screwdriver and remove the valve support screw and plastic retainer. Press the pushrod up and slide the valve support off of the inlet valve and set aside. Next, remove the 4 screws in the center of the piston shell to release the actuator assembly. Pull the actuator assembly out and discard the old piston shell. Put the new pushrod O-ring on the top of the pushrod and slide it down as far as it will go. Then position the actuator assembly in the shell as shown and hold firmly. Now reinstall the 4 screws and hand tighten them in a star pattern. Press the white plastic portion of the actuator side to side. If there is movement, retighten the screws. Reinstall the valve support by sliding it onto the inlet valve. Next, position the retainer and hand tighten the screw. Test the piston by pressing the pushrod from the top and bottom. It should click each time. Insert the piston back into the body and hand tighten the lid. Your injector should now be clicking and drawing concentrate. That's all for now. We hope this video has been helpful in troubleshooting your Dosatron D25RE1500 injector. For more information, please give us a call at 800-523-8499 or visit us online at dosatronusa.com. To see our other videos, check out our YouTube channel or visit the video page on our website. I'm Jason Maddox at Dosatron University. Thanks for watching.